should we talk about Pluribus? Have y'all seen that? I'll try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, I guess, for now. I was very excited for this show. I didn't hear a whole lot about it. A lot of the details of Vince Gilligan's show was kept super under wraps. We didn't even know the name of the show, I think, until a couple months ago. A lot of things were unknown, and I guess the title kind of reveals some things, so I think they waited as long as they could to reveal the title. We knew it was going to be like science fiction light, and of course this is Vince Gilligan, who's done Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It was a very highly anticipated show, and this is kind of going back to his science fiction roots from X-Files. So this is an article from MovieWeb, and this is everything we know about the show. The show follows an author who's the unhappiest person on Earth, not because she wants to be, but because everyone else seems incapable of feeling anything but happiness. The show follows Carol as she investigates this happiness and avoids becoming happy herself. Pluribus has a strange but intriguing plot. So Rhea Seehorn plays Carol Stirka, a historical romance novelist living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So it returns to the location of Breaking Bad. From the start, Carol is surrounded by people who seem perpetually cheerful, although the official plot descriptions for the show haven't gone much further than the most miserable person on Earth must save the world from happiness. There appears to be more going on, like a virus, and that's the mystery that drives the show. The trailer starts with Carol's neighbors trying to cheer her up to no success. The government tells her they're trying to figure out what's wrong with her so they can make her happy too. As Carol tries to just live her life, she finds empty stores and planes that seem to have no people because they're too happy to need these things. It all looks like an apocalypse or conspiracy that will gradually be uncovered as the season progresses. I do recommend it. It's a very interesting premise. It actually reminded me of, I remember reading a long time ago, it was a Robin Cook book called Invasion, and it seemed to remind me of that. One of those medical thriller books. I think they made a miniseries, and it seemed like that, but I think in Invasion, there was an alien organism just taking over, kind of like the Body Snatchers, just taking over and replacing people, and doing so with such veracity and speed, taking over society. I will say that the show starts a bit slow, so I do wonder if just your average person checking it out, I do wonder if they're gonna get into it. I will say at least give it the first 2 episodes, and if you're not grabbed by it, the premise is interesting, and I think it is different in how they decided to do it. We're introduced to Carol, and I have to say I did not like her character. It gets interesting, especially in the second episode with her character. But at first, I don't really like her as a person. I see that often, whether or not it's intentional. There's this tendency to have your protagonist be unlikable, and I guess the character arc is to make her likable. But yeah, no, she was annoying. And yeah, then when everything starts happening, it's definitely very intriguing. But there are a lot of things that really take its time, and it is kind of interesting to see this event invasion happen from one person's perspective, and seeing a lot of the realism of that we might not normally see because maybe it's dragged on a little much. Definitely how everything happens once you start seeing the, I guess, invasion happening, that's really well done. And I say that's what's really the most fascinating thing, is what this is. So it seems that it's this hive-mind organism. Everyone has been taken over and they're all happy, like this happy organism, but that is a hive mind. So everyone's connected to the hive, and everyone is in this constant state of seeming peace and happiness. They all share all the information that each individual has acquired. That is now the organisms. They're all part of the same thing. All information is shared. So obviously when things were going down and taking over, they had knowledge and access to all these individuals, so they could just do whatever to continue to spread. And it's seemingly like spread through contact. So very interesting and different, I guess, from other stories in that they don't appear malicious. I think that's probably what the show is trying to do, one of the most insidious parts of it. And I do think that the premise is what's really carrying the show more than maybe the characters. At least for Carol, it does really get more interesting for her, just her encountering what's happened. It doesn't seem as much a character-driven show as is just being carried by the premise. It's not like the Borg and their forceful and violent takeover of societies. What if it's peaceful as much as they are trying to be peaceful? Obviously, there was deaths, but since then, they're all wanting peace and happiness and want the best for everyone, and having it be different in that respect is interesting. Again, just seems maybe the more insidious because maybe people don't feel like they need to fight back. I'm very curious as to how it proceeds. If everyone's cool with every trace of individuality erased as long as there's peace, seemingly. So the title of the show is interesting, and we now know what that comes to mean in watching these episodes. I didn't notice that at first, but yeah, the title Pluribus has the number 1 in it as the I. And she's kind of the one. And what is that saying? E pluribus unum, from many one, or out of many one? That is an interesting premise. Would you trade your individuality for peace, security, and happiness? Some might be okay with that. If they feel like their loved ones are in there somewhere, would they be okay with the hive mind? It also kind of made me think of the Killiks from Star Wars The Old Republic, where people can join the hive mind. And it's kind of like a peaceful thing that people can volunteer for to join the hive. But then you compare that to the Borg and you see it's one thing when a violent cybernetic life form wants to just take over everything and in such a violent manner. But what if you're polite about it? So it's very interesting. And the character of Carol, like, she's kind of an annoying person. But it's interesting to have that character's perspective and to see that journey. As it went on, it was interesting to see from her point of view what was going on. It's definitely more of that perspective and the premise that's driving the show and the mystery of it. There could be way more to it than we're seeing. Honestly, how do we know what's going on inside the hive mind? We have no idea what's going on inside these individuals' heads. I mean, you wouldn't know that unless you've joined it. It's somewhat familiar, but just explored differently. I'm definitely interested to see where it goes from here.